Hello and welcome back. Well, I figured I'll go over a little bit of the news and stuff that's been going on. And it appears I'll give people a little bit of time to come in, see if anybody shows up. But yeah, it has been quite a bit going on. And I'm going to try to get into doing videos more at a regular basis. I also found out today that some people haven't been getting notifications that I'm going live or that I put new videos up yet. So yeah, censorship at its finest. You know how it is. So let's see. We'll start off with I guess we just went through 4 years of no actions towards war, trying to get our military back home, and Craig's been in office for what, less than he got in January 20th, so just over a month, and he already did airstrikes, and he's sending warnings to Iran, telling them that they better watch their backs, or however he put it. I can't remember. But other than that, let's see. We had the Facebook cabal there with Australia, and pretty much blocking the whole country from being able to share news on Facebook on their platform because they didn't want to pay publishers for their articles, and places. I think Google made the first move, if I remember right, and they literally made agreements and stuff with some of the news agencies, and then Facebook started in with soon after them. Hey, Lynn, thanks for joining. And like I said, Google made the move, made some agreements, and then Facebook caved. I think they caved soon after. I'm not sure how that went down. Oh, look, it dropped down to no people watching. But yeah, and then let's see if my phone's charged enough. Pull up some of the news articles that I wanted to go through. Oh, and the latest stimulus package, I guess they don't care. They're sending it through with the $15 an hour minimum wage, and they know that that's going to get blocked. They already know that that's going to get blocked, and it's going to be sent back to them. But at the same time, they're saying that they need to cut a lot of the money that's going to places out of it, because a lot of it, we shouldn't be paying for vaccines and stuff for overseas. We shouldn't be paying for half the shit that they want in there to begin with, and museums shouldn't be getting money out of this. Some of the big companies that they're sending the money to, it shouldn't be, come in through this. All right, and this is one of the things I wanted to go through because this is new news. The Labor Department expanded eligibility for unemployment, and here's who qualifies. The Labor Department expanded the circumstances under which workers could qualify for unemployment insurance payments through the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. And it goes on to say, workers who were denied unemployment benefits after they refused to work in unsafe conditions, school staff and employees who have been affected by school closures through reduced pay or who are not assured of continued pay. Any worker who had their work hours reduced or who has lost their job as a direct result of the pandemic. Today's guidance opens the door to relief for workers who have been who have faced difficult, if not impossible, choices between accepting employment in an unsafe workplace to receive a steady source of income and protecting their health and that of their loved ones. So pretty much, if when the pandemic was going down and you had all them people walk out and they were like, "Oh, I'm not working because it's unsafe. I don't feel safe going to work. I might get the virus, blah blah," and they quit their jobs. They're now eligible for it, so that can be used as a reason. The school teachers, I don't know if they're not getting paid or not, or if that's just a thing with them. I mean, you'd think that they're not getting paid. You'd think that they are getting paid because the way that they're acting. Otherwise, they'd be like, "Oh, get us back in there, get us to work. I need the money." But they're not doing. They're not doing that. Instead, they're like, "Oh, la-di-da, la-di-da." They want us back. They want their they want their babysitters back. They want to be able to smoke pot and drink beer without the kids being home. They want to have the house to themselves all day. No, they want to, parents want their kids to get out and learn, and that's the teacher's job. That's why they are teachers. And then another thing I wanted to touch on is I went over the HR 127, the gun bill that everybody's been talking about. But through my research through it all, did you know that there's a HR 1004, HR 1005, HR 1006, HR 1007, HR 1008? These are all HR 127 broke down into separate categories. So to me, they're literally taking the bill and running it. If the whole bill don't pass, they have this part that they can try to get passed, this part they can try to get passed, this part they can try to get passed. And they broke it down in sections to vote on it. So to me, that's kind of odd, that they literally, it's what, five or six HR HR House resolutions that are going in there right now at this time that have to do with gun laws. That's they are trying to sidewind and attack the Second Amendment to me on that. We're used to every now and then they try to get one in there. They try to sneak one through. I mean, it was what, 9 or 10 months ago that they tried to get the last one through there, and now they're backtracking and trying to go through. And that HR 127, that one is bad. I mean, that one is real bad. But the sad thing is, these people, they're even going after the ammunition now. You can't buy ammunition without having to do a background check, or say that's one of the things they want to have passed. And one of them is, and this is the whole thing to me. All right, registering a gun. When you buy a new gun now, a lot of people don't realize this. When you buy a new gun now, you do go through a background check. They get your background check done. They get the call back. You get approved. You can go out of the store with your gun. But now they want to do it that it used to be, they held your information. I think it was for like a maximum of 30 days, if that. And from there, it got deleted from the system. Well, the way that they're wording it now, and one of the resolutions they want to pass is a minimum of 90 days. There is no maximum amount of time that they hold who has the gun, where the gun is, who purchased the gun, and all that other stuff. So that it's a minimum of 90 days with there's no maximum mentioned in that. So is this their way of starting the database of who's purchasing guns? Because the old one, it was you were held for X amount of time and then it was got rid of. But now if there's no unlimited amount of time that they're keeping the information of your background check and what gun it was, the serial number and everything else, to me, that's them trying to start their database of who owns what guns, who's buying what guns. And if it all comes down to ammunition, they're going to know exactly how many rounds for each gun you have in your house. That's it. To me, that's what they're coming after with that. And then, like I said earlier, we have Biden going after Iran, and he's doing it through a sneaky way, bombing that militia in Syria they had something to do with Iran. Hey, Baba, how you doing? So he did warn them. He did say that they're not going to be there and they're not going to make offensive moves. They're not going to be on the offense. But if they are called upon and they are needed, they will be there for defensive moves, which is what they're calling this strike that they did. It was a defensive move because they used a bombing from over a month ago. Well, about a month or so ago, that killed some civilians and injured some American troops as a reason to go in and attack these people. So he did keep his word with that. One of the few words that he's kept. I mean, I haven't seen anyone lie as much as he has. And to be honest with you, I think I think the VP is the president already. And then another thing I want to go over is the shots. Okay. When they came out with the actual first round, they were like, oh, it's 95% effective. It's 95% effective. Oh, wait a second. It's only 65% effective. Let's see what a second shot will do. Oh, the second one, we got 95% now. We got 95% now. And now we have the companies going, well, you know what? If we do a third shot, let's see what that does. Well, if you have one that's already 95% effective, why even bring up a third shot? Is there something they're not telling us about this? Is there more going on with this? So, and that will bring me to this article that I found. It's why Americans shouldn't turn their noses up at Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. For several months, public health experts have praised the approximate 95% efficiency seen in vaccines by Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna. But that data surrounding the Johnson & Johnson vaccine developed by the company's vaccine arms, Janssen, falls short of that figure. And that's what I just talked about. They're saying it's 95% effective, but they want to come out with a third shot. Something just that sends off bells and whistles and any kind of an alarm you can have in my book. But those comparisons aren't fair, as experts say. They say that Johnson & Johnson vaccine is an effective vaccine that offers good protection against severe forms of COVID. Anyone should take it if given the opportunity. Now, I heard right here. But in the United States, the vaccine showed a 72% efficiency against severe forms of the disease. It's even higher, offering nearly 85%, 86% protection. And that's what people should be focused on, experts say. I'm still skeptical on this whole thing. I mean, it's not there to prevent you from getting it. You can still get it. The experts are saying that. It's just you're not supposed to get as sick. 95%, 72%, 80, 86%. And right there, they're talking about how it shows it's 72%, but it's offering nearly 86%. And to me, they're just, I don't know. It's hard to go there because of the way that YouTube is with everything nowadays. So, and then, like I said, they want to see what a third shot will do. Well, you guys said you need the first one, you need the second one. Okay, well, now we want to check out a third one. Is this going to go on for the rest of our lives? You know, and the other thing is these things are not FDA approved. Even though they're out there, they've been approved for emergency use. So if they're approved for emergency use, I don't see where the big emergency is, because I don't know. It's just another thing that's setting off bells and whistles in my head. And then we have, as everybody knows, we're now in that climate agreement, whatever that was called. There, Biden put us back in it. And all of a sudden, we have an article that says the Atlantic Ocean circulation is the weakest it's been in at least 1,600 years, a study find. And here's what that means for the climate. Well, if you paid attention in science when you were in school, you learned that the ocean currents actually help to drive the wind currents, which help to drive the weather. And they say that if the ocean currents stop, the wind currents will stop, and things will get warmer. Well, that's what I remember from high school. But scientists believe that part of this slowing is directly related to our warming climate and melting ice. And it alerts the balance in northern waters. Its impact may be seen in storms, heat waves, sea level rises, and it bolsters concern that if humans are not able to limit warming, the system could eventually reach the tipping point, throwing global climate patterns into disarray. The Gulf Stream along the U.S. coast is an integral part of this system, which is also known as the Atlantic Mediterranean Overturning circulation, and it is made famous in 2004, the day after tomorrow, that movie, in which the ocean current abruptly stops, causing immense killer storms to spin up around the globe like a supercharged tornado in Los Angeles, and a wall of water smashing into New York City. So, and like I said, it just seems awfully funny that within a week or so of us getting back into that climate study and the whole climate thing, that they're coming out with this. And because everything is connected, the slowdown is undoubtedly already having an impact on Earth systems And by the end of the century, it is estimated to the circulation may slow by 34 to 45% if we continue to heat the planet, scientists fear. That is slowdown would put us into dangerous close to the tipping point. And like I said, I mean, I was in high school in the 80s, and I learned about the Atlantic current and all that stuff back then. I learned about the current, the circulations, how when the ice melts, it also helps with the salinity of the ocean. Fish, with the migration of, it helps with the migration of fish, which is also the magnetic longitudes. That helps because, like with the birds that fly north and south, they have a little part in their brain that tells them where they're going and back. It's kind of like it's kind of like a magnetic compass that's built into their bodies. Like I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, you could put me outside, spin me around in circles, and I'd be able to come within a few degrees of telling you which direction was north. I mean, it was built into me. It was part of who I was. But the more in life that we progress, the more we count on things around us, the more that we're disconnected, because you figure the animals still have this. They can sense a storm coming. We can't. Back in the old days, way back when, the farmers, they weren't getting weather forecasts. They went by barometers, homemade barometers and stuff. The way that the air felt. I mean, one night I was sitting there talking to one of my friends down at the docks in Bodenham, and we're sitting there, and I looked at her and I said, "We should head to the cars. It's getting ready to downpour." She's like, "No, it ain't. No, it ain't." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it is." Well, the breeze picked up a little bit. I looked at it and said, I could feel the storm on that breeze. And literally, by the time we shut the door, got into my car and shut the doors, it started to fucking downpour. I told her, I was like, I could feel the pressure change. I felt it around me. I says, and I could feel the moisture, and I could smell the rain in the air. It was one of them rains, and it was like the very fresh air just before you get there. It was awesome. But it goes to show that we're out of touch with what's built into our body. We're brought up that we have five senses. I believe that there's a lot more than five to us. There's more than, what is it? Sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. We have there's more than five senses. All right. Atlantic, it goes on, it says climate change. Atlantic Ocean circulation weakness sparking climate worries. California's iconic redwoods threatened by climate change. California's redwoods fight to survive. Freshwater fish in catastrophic decline, and 1/3 face extinction. I saw an article on that, and they're talking about how 1/3 of the fish are facing extinction. Well, freshwater fish have nothing to do with the oceans. And I think that is part of overfishing, for one. I mean, there'd be days like if I was going to go bass fishing, I'd go out and it's catch and release. Go out trout fishing, I didn't keep more than the five trout that I'm allowed. If I went salmon fishing, I kept the 2 salmon that I was allowed. But you have people who go out and literally will fill a cooler or a 5-gallon bucket with whatever they catch, and they don't do the catch and release. If the fish swallows the hook, they don't use the hemostats to go in there, try to get the hook out, save the fish. They just rip it right out, throw the fish in the water. It's more than just the climate that's doing stuff like this. But I don't believe 1/3 of the fish in this world are dying. Don't the president and vice president have the same news reporter that covers the White House news, or do they have 2 different ones? That's something I couldn't tell you. I honestly don't know the answer to that one. Oh, let's see. There was another thing that I wanted to touch on. Okay, and I brought this up, how they wanted the ICE to stop being able to, they wanted to prevent them being able to use the local sheriffs, the local police departments. And now all of a sudden, in the Washington Post, ICE investigators used a private utility database covering millions to pursue immigration violations. So now they're going to come up with this. Oh, look, they're using the databases from your electric companies. They're using it from if you sign up for cable, if you have the internet, they're using their databases. They're getting databases to find the people. We need to stop them from doing that. You guys, what's the difference of ICE doing it, going in and getting all this information, or Bank of America handing over the information of everybody who bought a gun in the last 5 years to the government? Or when that stuff happened on, up in Washington, D.C. Oh, look, this person from this state, they used their credit card in Washington, D.C. a couple days before and a couple days after. They were there. You guys, we have banks are doing that. But yeah, that was something, that's to me, when they're chasing illegals and they're trying to find them, especially ones that broke the law. Well, they broke the law to come across the border anyways, because illegal is illegal. They broke the law to come in, and if these people have, there's no trace of where they are. If they don't have Social Security cards, they ain't supposed to work. They don't have a work card, a green card, or whatever it is. They're literally off the books and they're flying under the radar. So they've got to be able to use anything at their disposal to find people and do what they have to do. And it's really to me, it blows my mind that they're coming after these things. And then oh wait, I'll save that till the end. Sorry about the little delay here, you guys. I forgot to send everything to myself in my email, so now I got to go back through the whole news feed and see what kind of things it was that I wanted to Okay, and this was something else. We have the masks. Oh, you got to wear one mask. You've got to at least have on a mask. And here we are, over a year after everything erupted, and now it's all of a sudden 2 masks. Within a few weeks of the 2 masks, you're hearing, well, if you can wear 3 masks, wear 3 masks. Now we have, that was our fucky dude. Now we have Mr. William Gates on masks. By late spring and summer, you can look at changing your behavior in a significant way. Billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates, who's 65, received his 2nd dose of the COVID vaccine a week ago. He said during an interview on social media app Clubhouse Wednesday. But even though the Microsoft co-founder is fully vaccinated, he's still following safety precautions like wearing a mask. Okay. This is a dude who is like so tied up in these things, it's not funny. And he goes, he's still wearing a mask, the 6 foot social distancing. And he goes, I want to set a good example, Gates told Andrew Ross Sorkin. If you're vaccinated, you can still transmit. So that's what I was talking about earlier. If you get these shots, which is supposed to be a vaccine, ain't it supposed to vaccinate you from it? It's supposed to like put the antibodies in your system. So to me, they're not vaccines. They're preventative medicine. That's it. And it's just like doctors do. They are in the medical field. They practice medicine. It's never perfected. It's never done. You can't say it's always done right. They make mistakes. When I first found out about my COPD, I went in and they treated me for this. Well, it weren't that. They treated me for this. Well, it weren't that. It treated me for this. It weren't that. And it was like a month after my first, and it was a little episode, the first one, about a month after into it, I was laying in bed getting ready to get up and go to work, but I couldn't breathe. I was literally laying down. I felt like I just ran 100 miles fighting for breath. I went in and they were like, oh, it started the treatments just like they did the first time. And then about a half an hour later, the doctor comes in. He goes, oh, I see you've been in here. And it's not this. It's not this. It's not this. He goes, let's get you down for some chest x-rays. He does the chest x-rays, comes back, and he goes, well, there's no liquid in your lungs. That's a good thing. This ain't there. He says, but with me listening to your breathing and all the tests that I've done, you're not able to breathe. And I looked right at him. I was like, no shit. That's why I'm here. And that's when he told me that I had obstructions that had to do with my breathing. And the first thing he goes on is cigarettes. Okay, I know a lot of people who smoke cigarettes, and you don't think it might have something to do with the asbestos from all the years of construction work, the fiberglass from all the years of construction work, the horsehair plaster from all my years of construction work, everything that I've inhaled, the stuff that I've put into my body, you don't think it has something to do with that? You instantly go to that it's the cigarettes? Well, since I've got out of the construction field, I've had one COPD attack, and it was literally on a job site where Peterson Metals. It was a windy day, so there was a lot of dust being blown around. In the stairwell that we had to put the railings in, they were painting the walls. So literally, they're spraying paint. We're inhaling all the paint fumes. The dust is blowing through with all the dirt when we go outside. So I'm inhaling all the dust. And that's what caused that COPD attack a few years ago. I know what it is. I know what my body, where I was at, what happened. But, they practice medicine. But enough about that. And then he goes on to say, I'm not going to stop wearing masks or being careful, particularly around older people who haven't been vaccinated, Gates told him. But he admits that he's had the 2 shots already, and you can still contract. New York I think New York's getting hit by a storm this weekend. If I remember right, the Northeast is in for a storm this weekend. But now he also goes on to say, Gates said he plans to wear a mask throughout the fall until infection rates drop significantly, adding that the practice isn't some huge disastrous thing. Well, you know what? I still leave my house and forget to have a mask. And when I get to a store that you have to have a mask to come in, it's like, well, I guess I ain't going in because now they don't even want you doing this. I remember when you could do this and they said it was okay because you're blocking it all. Now they won't even let you go in putting your shirt up over your face. And like I said, they're coming out with if you can get away with wearing 3 masks, go ahead and wear 3 masks. I'm saying it's hard enough to breathe through one. But if I'm not saying don't wear them. I mean, if you feel safer. Oh, North Carolina, not New York. I thought you put, North Carolina. And this is another thing that gets me. How many times have we heard Camilla and Biden look up and say, when we took over office, there was no plan to fight the virus. There were no vaccines. We had to come in and battle this from the ground up. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Okay, and there was one more thing. All right, it ain't in my news feed anymore, so they must have thought that's old news, but it was something good. I can't remember what it was. But I don't know if you guys remember. I did that one on the history. At the end of one of my videos, I did a history lesson. Well, I found an article that just came out on February 22nd. Before Plymouth Colony and the Pilgrims, there was Pawtuxet. All right. Slavery, plague, and territorial conflict lightly made the Europeans' arrival on Wampanoag Island possible. And it's the story about the guy who did all the research and what he found out. It brings up Squanto, which Squanto was from the Wampanoag tribe. He was one of the guys who was captured, taken over to, what was it, England? Oh, does it say where he was taken? Nope. But so anyways, more than 400 years ago, the coast community of Pawtuxet was one of dozens belonging to Mashpee Wampanoag tribe, spread much across what's known as New England. The Wampanoag called the region home for more than 12,000 years. But most history books have reduced them to a footnote. Today's school children typically learn only that the tribe helped the Pilgrims survive their first year in Plymouth, establishing New Pawtuxet where it once stood. To show their gratitude, the European arrivals invited the Native Americans to a meal with Pawtuxet-born Winnipesaukee Tisquantum, known as Squanto, who happened to speak English, serving as a translator. Missing entirely from the familiar history, however, are critical details such as how Squanto learned English and why Pawtuxet was abandoned before the Pilgrims arrived. So this guy, okay. All right, yeah, tell me about it tomorrow, Lynn. So this Native American, Virginia Williams is literally bringing out the history, the true history of the Winnepaug tribe. So what was Pawtuxet like before contact with European? There were some 69 villages throughout the New England region, and they were part of Winnepaug Nation. It's estimated that there were upward of a few thousand natives per village. In the summers, they'd go to the coastal regions and go to the waters because the food was abundant. You had the fishing, the fisheries, the sea life, your animals that would head towards the waters. There was a lot of food abundant there. They could grow their crops there throughout the summers. In the winters, they'd head back inland into the woods where they had the protection from the weather. They could set their wintertime residence up, use the woods as shelter. And he goes on and talks about but beyond that, we know that there was a government structure with delegates from each tribe who would meet with each other, discussing issues and collectively making policies and rule that would be the best interest for everyone. The villages were pretty much in constant communication with each other. And he goes on, this guy says, I have to think that it was really an ideological setting where you lived off the land. There seemed to be an abundance of food for everyone. So I brought this up once, and our government is set up off of what some of these tribal nations did. They had delegates that would get together. They would talk to each other. And it's just like it is now. That you had a representative for each tribe would come together. The Wampanoag did it. There were a few tribes up in the Great Lakes region. I think it was six or seven tribes up there that they decided instead of fighting against each other, they came together as one nation. And they did the same thing. They had delegates would get together. They'd have a couple people that stood out for their tribe would go to these meetings. They'd get together and all this. And this is what our Senate, our legislature, our government is literally, to me, built off of what these people did. And these are the Native Americans. You figure 12,000 years these people lived here before, and that's an estimated 12,000 years before the Pilgrims and everybody showed up. But in 1614, we really start to see rapid shift, the tipping point in the impact that the Europeans having on the Wampanoag Nation is part because of slavery. Right there, slavery. They're literally, I see this whole article. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a whole article on this that he goes through everything that he has found out. And it also, he goes on to say that 50 years ago, we weren't ready for this. But now with the way that things are, the way everything's going, it's time to bring this out. It's time to show that, the people we thought were suppressed the most ain't. I mean, it even goes on. He goes on to talk about how the Europeans' diseases over with them that the Native Americans never saw, they never dealt with, and that killed off some of the nations. And it goes on to talk about all that. Well, we know that when they took the natives and put them on their reservations, that they handed out blankets. Well, what they would do is take people who had smallpox, have them curl up in the blankets, and those blankets they would take and give to the Native Americans as blankets and stuff to keep warm. They needed. They give them the clothing that someone who died of smallpox or died of some disease was wearing. They'd give them that kind of clothing. Well, you guys, to me, they were using chemical warfare on the Native Americans back then. And this is in what, the 1700s? 1600s? So yeah, it's like I said, I've mentioned this many times. History is being rewritten in front of our face. But the thing is, how much of this history is going to be the true history? How much is it going to be the things that they want to change to? Just some thoughts, you know. What are they going to try to delete and suppress now? Now that truth about things is coming out, what are they going to try to suppress now? You know, and it's mind blowing. But anyways, I'll end this here. I'm going to try to do more lives than I have been. And like I said, I found out that people's not getting the notifications that I'm going live. So what I'll do is I'm thinking we'll try to go with every other day. Yeah, every other day at 9 p.m. my time. And we'll see how that goes. That way everybody knows that will be what I'm on. So anyways, you guys, stay safe, stay alert, and always do things the way they work best for you. Thank you.